Welcome, everyone, to week 2. I hope you enjoyed week 1 of fire. We're entering week 2, the water realm. And what a contrast it is, right? This movement from fiery, very conscious, very future-oriented, visionary, Icarus-like at the top of the flight pattern, vision of life from this anything's possible out in the world into the world from this place of this inner fire. In week 2, we could think of once Icarus has his wax wings burnt off, melted away, and he dives into the water, right? And there's something about this water element I love, and most of the tales seem to be cautionary tales around the water realm because seafaring communities and cultures, there's so much lore around the mystery and the perils of the open oceans and the deep dark waters. And it's from the siren's call to the narcissist drowning in the water. There's so much to this. Carl Jung calls this realm the subconscious realm. Talked about in terms of the unconscious realm. Carl Jung talks about this, the work with the subconscious and the unconscious. And I look at that separation between the subconscious and the unconscious. I consider the subconscious being that which we have access to. It's like, how deep can we plumb into the inner waters, the inner realms? The unconscious is like the rest of the ocean, the rest of the universe. It's there, it's alive, it's all connected. Every drop of water is connected to the entire ocean of experience. Yet what we have access to is this field, this subconscious field. Ideally, we would like to explore that inner field, the inner waters of our inner emotionality, of our inner reality, our inner truth, our inner vision of who we are beyond what we project onto the world, that sort of fiery, egoic, fire realm stuff. This is more feminine. This is the yin side of that right brain function, still engaging in nuance and novelty, still receptive, still inductive, taking stuff in and saying, I don't know, let's see. Yet the water realm is doing it from this other perspective, right? It's doing it from this more feminine yin quality of receptivity. And it's sinking into, it's dropping into, it's releasing into something deeper and more true. This call to be able to project something onto the world releases into this willingness, this desire, this necessity, this urging to return home to something more real, something more true, that is really the sustenance of our being. This, like in the womb, this is this watery field, this amniotic condition of all living beings. And it's also cleansing. We're mainly made of water, right? So in this realm, we're invited, we're called back in. At this passage's core lies the understanding that we can recreate identity and reality through harnessing the power of the subconscious. By boldly confronting fears manifested from past conditioning, for instance, we reclaim authority to consciously reframe narratives. This enables manifestation of outcomes once believed and possible. So no matter what has congealed, has manifested, has taken form in the earth and air realms, and even in the fire realms, these energetic constructs, the water realm is the solution. It allows for this constant renewal, this constant dissolution back into this primordial source of potentiality, of probability even, of what is possible for us. And in this liquid flowing form, we are given that baptismal water of renewal, of redemption, of release from old constructs, from old outmoded forms that had crusted around our being as us, or informing and empowering us. We're releasing back into something, and this redemptive action is just allowing us to come back to what's true for us, back to our soul, back to the inner kingdom, back to our inner gold. Or as Joseph Campbell said, this is the second half of getting to the elixir. The first half is that fiery hero awakening and recognizing that either carrot or stick, something's wrong here and I've got to fix it, and I've got to go out in the world and this adventure is for me to fix this, or it's a carrot saying I see something better, or a combination of the two. The fire intelligence is so much around getting us fired up to do something beautiful in the world, to create. It's the creative solar force. The water realm is more the lunar force, right? It's that counterbalancing yin to that yang that says, yes, and. Yes, if we do this, it will be wonderful. Yes, if we experience this, it will be wonderful. Yes, if this is created in this world, if this hypothesis is true and is useful and brought into the world, of course, wonderful. Yet on the feminine side, on the yin side, it says, let's drop beneath the surface of all of these egoic constructs of striving and perfecting and high-level wisdom attainment, and just get real. To drop out of the head, drop out of the left and right prefrontal cortexes, and drop into the right hemisphere, the left hemisphere, dropping into that even deeper yin of water and earth. And so it says in the lesson, thus each difficulty confronted offers us tools for further evolution. We enter flow states permitting exponential growth as beliefs shift from perceived reality, directing consciousness, to deliberate consciousness selecting and generating reality. What a great statement, right? Again, we're moving away from this perceived reality directing consciousness as some externalized concept of this external locus of control that says the outer world is happening to us and we are in direct reaction to that. This is releasing all of that and saying, let's get beneath the surface. When you pull the curtain back and you see what's really going on, in many ways, if you look at the simulation hypothesis, this outer world is a simulation of something reflected internally, right? So now with the water, we're able to peel back the curtain and see if this is true. What is within us that may be creating all of this in the world around us? It's an interesting thought, right? Or it's at least a wonderful thought experiment. Certainly one I've been holding for a good 30-something years, and I feel I can confirm that from my own experimentation with reality, that yes, there is a spooky effect. There's something happening inside of me that seems to be correlating with the outer world. Many people that do this workshop, if we do the 13-week program, for instance, which I invite you to do, it's so wonderful, where we sit with each element, each of the 12 phases per week, right? And in these weeks, we go through 3 weeks of fire. And those 3 weeks are familiar. They're a little bit solar. They're Western. They're very what people do workshops for, very Tony Robbins-like stuff. It's not until it seems that we drop into the water realm, or just before, when we're in the final phase of fire, the ninth house aspect of the mutable phase, where we start to look at the ritualistic side. What are we ritualizing? What are we finding as our truth at this time in our lives? What are we living and expanding into based on what we believe ourselves to be and what we're experiencing and expressing in the world? This final phase starts to reveal patterns in the world. The patterns are already there. The synchronicity is already there. As Carl Jung said, the thing is, when you start to see synchronicities, it is a sure sign that you're coming into some degree of coherence, some degree of resonance with the inner and outer worlds, right? And or even just on a conscious level resonant with your own nature, which of course can calibrate and create this inner coherence, this inner state of flow, which water is all about. So this movement into the water realm is a dropping into soulfulness. The first phase of water is beautiful. It's coming home. It's the fourth house, the cardinal phase of water. And astrology is beautiful. It's all about feeling nurtured and coming home and remembering brings you to life. So this is a dropping into a level of reality that slows down. My teacher Luwada would always say, get out of your head and drop into your heart and stay there. And the Taoists say, drop into the belly and live from this state of awareness, this state of intelligence, a state of experience and expression. So this is where perceived reality, directing consciousness, moves into a deliberate consciousness selecting. Robert Anton Wilson would call this your reality tunnel. And if you haven't studied RAW, R-A-W, he was amazing. Robert Anton Wilson. He was one of a collection of amazing men and women at that time that brought forth this idea of consciousness as reality selection. And he said we were all creating our own reality tunnels, which certainly seems to have some validity to it. And his idea was simply, once you become aware that you're creating all this, you're making all this up. I don't know of any tradition, religious, spiritual, otherwise, that denies this. In fact, I think they're all reflecting this. Christ would say that the kingdom of God is within you. Jung would talk about it in terms of those who go into the world are dreamers, but those who go within awaken. There's so much of this from the Hindi traditions. There's a lot of relating this concept that the outer world is an illusion. In the Buddhist tradition as well, it's the illusion of suffering. There's the dukkha, this illusion that this outer world is a real fixed thing that is an objective reality. Yet we all know how subjective it is, if only by talking to friends and loved ones and other people, or listening to the news, for heaven's sakes, you start to see how fluid this quote-unquote objective reality is. The quote that says, the world is not made of atoms but of small stories. There seems to be billions and billions of stories going on, and we're all engaging in this. And it can seem like chaos. And of course, the water realm, like all the realms on some level, all the elemental realms, will invite us into this chaos, because letting go of what is known, the cognitive dissonance of releasing out of fixed concepts and habituated mind patterns, does feel like chaos. In fact, it is welcoming in a certain sense, or at least accepting this experience of the chaos within the order, in order to get back to the order within the chaos. If you look at yin and yang, the yin, the black fish swimming, has a little white pearl. So the entire yin movement at its core, that pearl of intelligence, is its opposite, is the animus for the anima, right? Is this balancing force, is this yang force driving the yin field. It's this complementarity, this duality happening that is wonderful, that is driving us. The fire drives into the water. Icarus dives into the water. This idea that he escaped out of this labyrinth that was his father's doing, right? That's some air realm stuff. His father was brilliant, but he was too clever. And he created this labyrinth for others to get trapped in, but then he ended up getting thrown in it himself with his son and the aberration that they created, this minotaur. How did they get out? They got out by, his dad was still clever. Cleverness will still work. And he saw that bees were creating beehives, and they could fly in and out as a collective. And so could birds. They could fly in and out and at will. And the feathers he saw, along with the beeswax, could create wax wings, right? And I love this, the symbolism of this. the feathers as the emblem or as the symbolic ability for us to intellectually take flight and move on out of old traps and the rest, combined with the wax that represents the beehive, that represents a collective intelligence, a whole-on, a complete whole. Together, this ability to intellectually go where we need to go, but also to do it within the realm of a collective intelligence, I think is super important motif for where we're going right now. He crafts it into wings, and it does help them escape into the air, into this higher wisdom, into the upper realms of air, of a higher wisdom. And at the peak of that, it brings us right back into the fire where Icarus flies right into the sun. That to me is alchemy. That to me, the burning away at that point is the fire realm, just burning away. And it says, look, I'm glad you escaped, but now it's time to get real. Now we're going to have to bring you down to earth again. And so burning away the false, the desirous, the hubris maybe, the fantasies probably, all those things that make you feel more than like in the field of the gods needs to be burned away. That's the calcinatio, the releasing, the purification back into the holy waters, the sacred waters, to take that baptismal plunge into this deeper state of presence. If you've ever dove into a pool or to a beautiful lake or pond on a nice hot day and you get under the water, at first it's a little, oh my gosh, and then it's like a wonderland. The sun is filtering through the water and the sound is muffled. And it feels amniotic and somehow familiar and right. If only we could breathe here. And if you scuba dive or snorkel, you know how amazing it is to be able to finally catch your breath in the water. And you're right underneath the surface, and you could see the undulating patterns on top of the surface, or maybe it's just nice and still, and the sun bathing through. And yet in here, there's this sense of expansiveness, connection, feeling nurtured and held. You can float in this water. That's that first phase of water. This feeling of dropping into the heart, this is the place of heart. And when you're here, things slow down and feel just more magical and connected. The revelation of innate divinity. As we access hidden dimensions through disciplined inner exploration, profound awakening occurs. Layers of illusion drop away, wash away, as our essential nature is revealed. We come home to ourselves as creative beings, unconstrained by inherited limitations once deemed absolute. By venturing inward, we touch infinite potentiality and gain self-mastery. No longer hostage to environments we inherit. With deep presence and fiery resolve directed in the cauldron of meditative inquiry, the phoenix of renewed identity from the fire realm, identity inevitably arises and takes the plunge. Reality transmutes in the flames of concentrated will and disciplined awareness, which is what all ceremonial ritual is about, so that we can release into the depths of our souls, the inner kingdom, the inner elixir, the inner gold. Through commitment to plumbing our being's subtler depths, illuminations expands exponentially. We reclaim sovereignty over what we choose to think, sense, feel, and manifest. This internal odyssey unlocks the mystical process of awakening dormant gifts on journey to self-realization. New horizons await. So as we go to lesson 2, it's all about clarifying emotional intelligence. In the journey of personal transformation, understanding our emotional intelligence is akin to navigating the vast and dynamic waters of consciousness. By integrating insights from both psychology and spirituality and philosophy and religion and metaphysics and esotericism and science, we delve into the depths of our emotional and spiritual evolution, our psychospiritual awakening, much like immersing ourselves in the profound mysteries of water. Psychospiritual insights. Our exploration reveals that emotions are not merely to be managed or controlled, but are gateways, facets to profound spiritual growth and self-discovery. Water, revered across all spiritual traditions as a symbol of purification and emotional release, serves as a powerful metaphor for this process. It invites us to flow with the currents of our feelings, our emotions, our depth of psychic awareness, embracing their transformative potential to lead us towards a deeper understanding of our true nature and a state of spiritual awakening. Engaging in mindfulness practices and meditations and journeys near water can facilitate this alignment, offering us moments of profound tranquility and revelations about our higher selves. Even if in your space you have a cup of water, a bowl of water with a lotus flower in it, flow of water in the field around you, or you can be out by a pond or a lake and doing your meditations, especially during this week. It's really about tuning in. The left brain, especially, left hemisphere, wants to extract everything it knows about reality. Especially here, I invite you, and certainly through the entire program, I invite you to analyze and deduct and reason through. Yet, this is a real call for the experiential, which again is very right brain. The receptive, the unknown, to be open to what you don't know yet about this experience that you've been having since birth and way beyond, way before, way after, lifetimes of it. Every cell of your being is composed of atoms and molecules that have been on this planet in infinite forms for an infinite amount of time and space. So we're part of something enduring and, in a very real sense, infinite in all directions, past, present, and future. So this is an invitation to release into that mystery. This is water. Fire is the same. Water is deeper. Developmental insights. From a deeper developmental standpoint, we understand that our capacity to navigate the emotional landscape evolves from infancy into adulthood, shaped by our experiences and interactions. The bonds formed in our early years, for instance, lay the foundation for how we manage our emotions later in life. This perspective illuminates how our emotional intelligence, our EQ, is sculpted over time, akin to how a river carves its path through the landscape, with each stage of life presenting new lessons in adaptability, resilience, and depth. We learn to embrace the transformative power of water as a guide for our emotional growth. And in this spiral model, this spirality of development that we find ourselves in, we see ourselves coming back again and again to the same place. Yet each time it's not a circle, it's not the exact same place. There is movement, there is a refinement going on. And so we welcome each familiarity in its new way. Returning to a river is never the same river at any moment, nor is any part of our lives, even if these cycles seem oddly and awfully familiar. Water asks us to let go of that and to open to something greater than the patterns that we are familiar with, that we can grok, that we can get our head around. It's said that reality is not only stranger than we think, it's stranger than we can think. I think that was Niels Bohr said this, or Richard Feynman. Harnessing these insights for transformation. By merging psychological, spiritual, and developmental insights, we unlock a holistic understanding of our emotional wisdom. This comprehensive approach empowers us to navigate life's challenges with grace and fluidity. Drawing on the element of water as a source of inspiration and guidance, it encourages us to view our emotional experiences not as obstacles, but as opportunities for growth, depth, interiority, of meaning, leading us on a path of self-discovery and spiritual enlightenment. As we journey through the waters of our inner world, we tap into the vast reservoir of wisdom that lies within, learning to harness the power of our emotions to propel us towards our highest potential. Let this exploration of emotional intelligence, informed by the depths of psychological and spiritual insights, be the compass that guides us through the ever-changing tides of life, towards a future where we embody the essence of water, adaptable, powerful, inward-seeking, and endlessly renewing, cultivating emotional mastery. We each possess immense latent capacities for enriching our emotional landscapes when we commit to disciplined inner work. By venturing courageously into unexplored terrain within the psyche and quantum energetic dimensions accessed through focused concentration, we can transcend habitual emotional patterns that limit our potential. The depths of consciousness host well springs of bountiful emotional health and stability, accessed through shifting ingrained assumptions governing our self-concepts. Meditations focused on rewriting neural scripts based on unconditional self-acceptance versus harsh inner critics are immensely potent for catalyzing metamorphosis. Now we call that reframing in hypnotherapy or NLP. We call it repatterning. Water realm offers the ability just to dissolve things and see where it comes back to. You could think of a caterpillar going into a chrysalis. This necessary state on its journey is a true transformation and represents the water realm's death and rebirth process in the middle phase of water. What are you really ready to let go of, to sacrifice, the big giveaway to open up to this next level that you're entering into? There is a concordance there between how much you're ready to let go of and how much you'll enter into this next phase. There is this correspondence there. For the caterpillar, it seems certain that it's not a choice, right? There's some genetic, some ancestral, some field effect, some morphogenetic field guiding it into this inevitability of balling up into this chrysalis, and once inside, liquefying, dissolving into the chaotic field of this inner abyss, this inner field of chaos. It's just primordial ooze. Letting go of everything it knew about its short life as a caterpillar on this planet. Entering into a mystery it knows nothing about, I can't imagine it knows it's going to have these beautiful wings and have this beautiful body that can fly around the world. Yet it persists in releasing and letting go. Pema Chodron said, in this world, it's all about things coming together and things falling apart. And things coming back together again and falling apart again. And it's for us to hold space for all of that. So there's, again, these cycles of death and rebirth and death, of renewal. This idea, practices like this, rooted in radical self-compassion, they bypass resistance from your conscious awareness, seeding fertile ground for blossoming new identity. And that's why in the middle fire realm, it's all about play. In the middle water realm, it's the other side of play. It's this deep play. It's a shamanic realm of as-ifness, going within as if it is as real as anything else. Our ego has to be willing to accept something mysterious, something beyond its ability to understand, even more than it thinks, beyond what it can think. Releasing into this mystery is the gauntlet to get to that final phase of water that from the fourth house is amniotic and nurturing and good, but it drops into that middle realm, that gauntlet of water, that fixed realm of water with the dot with the circle, is now you find yourself in the depths. And it's so nice to feel emotional again until it starts to bring things up, shadow stuff up. Maybe a few too many drinks get you into that scorpionic middle water realm where old gripes and worries and fears and complaints and dark thoughts and dark feelings and shadow things. The water gets darker and things are biting at you and it feels like you will drown. This is the place of death and rebirth. This is a shamanic space, the ceremonial place of water that says just let go. It's okay. Because you don't die. Not really. Yet something within you will. And you have to be willing to let that go. The big giveaway. To attain some mystery. It's a leap of faith. The willingness to let go, knowing that you're held by something greater, is a release of the ego's desire to keep you safe, to keep you alive. It doesn't know. It doesn't know what we know. It doesn't know what you know. It just wants to be alive. And so to ask it to go through this is such a deep, respectful mystery that you're inviting it into, and it can shake. Every time I do a deep shamanic ceremony, my body shakes. And I sing to it. And I tell it, it's okay. I'll be back. You can stay here where you're from, on this earth. You can stay safe. You're not going to be abandoned. You don't have to come with me either. So in some sense, letting go can simply be saying to those parts of yourself that are in fear, bathe them in light. It's the best you can do. Put them in that torus of light and asking heaven and earth to redeem them while you move forward, while you evolve, while you become more your true nature. Evolution and enlightenment are nothing more, I perceive, than becoming ever more true, ever more real. The inner elixir that Joseph Campbell talks about in The Hero's Journey, starting at that upper fiery first house of fire, I'm the hero here, I see it, I got this, has gone through this entire burning away and washing away to get to this. It was all for this place of letting go. So what are you ready to let go of here? What are you ready to let go of? What shadows are you ready to bathe in the light of forgiveness and love and gratitude? What are you ready to dissociate from in a sense that you know this is not you, ultimately. When you tune into that elixir, when you tune into that inner gold, that inner kingdom, that inner truth, that higher self, that etheric reality that sits in the center of your being, as Carl Jung says, we're spiraling around, but always keep your eye towards the center, because that will hold that orbit between the centrifugal and centripetal forces, the centrifugal wanting to just pull you in and suck you into that vortex of annihilation versus the centripetal pull of pulling you out into the world. Either you lose yourself within yourself or you lose yourself in the world. Either way, you lose. This journey is a spiral path, and the spiral in its ultimate sense is this path of this harmonious, the quantum field of resonant interference patterns that shows, like on a river, you'll see that rip line, that sweet water between that flows all the way down, that guides the way through. Maybe you find in the depths of this water phase a rip line, a tow line, a current, a flow. When you tune into that truth within your nature, we can let go of fear. We can let go of whatever it is we're holding on to because we're held. We got this. We're not alone. In fact, that final phase of water is dropping into this 12th house, this recognition. It's Pisces, the fish, as part of a greater school of beings, right? It's Neptune, the lord of the high seas. It's the 12th house of moving between worlds, between realms, to other realms, to more than this. First, we got to get through this gauntlet of letting go. The big giveaway, the death, rebirth, and transformation cycle. Just as fire had its middle realm of burning away the egoic constructs to say, how much of you are you putting into this vision? Burn it off. Because that's what you're seeing in the world is not resonant. It's projected shadow stuff. Well, I put my art out there and no one really is listening. Burn it off. Until it's just the art speaking. Until it's just the message speaking. Until it's just the message, until it's just the messenger, until it's just this intelligence coming through, the God within. The water retracts those shadows and says all those reflected, projected shadows, those things that come at me in the world around me that aren't very pleasant, I now see their source. I see that like some sort of strange attractor. The simulation of a world around us seems to resonate with something within me, good, bad, or otherwise. And now I'm willing to go deep and plumb the depths to be with this and to see what this is with the heart. Because it's beyond our comprehension. It's alien in the most us way. Especially culturally speaking. So by welcoming the full spectrum of emotional experiences with non-judgment, their transient ephemeral nature becomes clear. Clarity around their arising and passing. Our ability to surf even punishing waves of grief, anger, shame, without identifying with it. It accrues with time and sincerity of practice. It spirals and refines. Gradually greater choices emerge of when to gently redirect difficult emotions, trajectories, versus when to harvest their wisdom through grateful embracing. I own this fear, so it doesn't own me. I have my fears, but they do not have me. This cultivation of emotional fluidity and resilience aligns us with destiny's calling to harvest fully the fruits of being human. All emotion inherently moves us closer to the essential. when appropriately digested. Thus, disciplined consciousness, applied to their arising, offers scarce glimpses into life's deepest mysteries, and that is the call to this program. That is the call to elemental alchemy. All of this is happening whether you're conscious or not. At this moment, there's fire and water and earth and air and ether, alive and well. This is a call to consciousness. As Sadhguru says, these four yogis of our existence, as much as they do not like each other, when they come together, they waken up that fifth element, the God within. When they come in, he calls them the four idiots, come together, God appears. So when we could bring these elements of mind, of body, of spirit, of emotion into consciousness, as he says, a pizza has more ingredients than we do in our consciousness. Yet, simply by becoming aware of and forming a relationship with, a resonant, coherent, grateful, engaged, active relationship with these dynamics of experience, and they can't be analyzed to the point of knowing. Just like any good relationship, they simply have to be lived, experienced. From the water perspective, the more you can live from the sense of emotional connection, of soulful reunion, of immersion with other, there is no other. And all the other becomes the one, and all the energy fractaling out into the field is coming back at the same time, drawn back into and becoming one within as well. No longer fractured by the many things in the world, our energy going over here and over here and over there. Instead, even that draws back. It's like an ultimate form of letting go, of forgiveness, of release. I'll take mine back and you can take yours. And that's when the harmony returns, the inner, the outer. When there is an inner coherence within us all, there is coherence between. The God within becomes a God between. The I-thou relationship opens. So this is that life's deepest mysteries opening up to us, that water embraces and invites us into. So that moves us into Solutio, the third lesson, releasing, flowing, and transcending. Venturing inward through Solutio's alchemy. This inner journey catalyzes the alchemical process of Solutio, facilitating release, flow, and transcendence. Here, Solutio dissolves hardened aspects of self, once deemed essential, solid. Rigid shadows give way to fluid states of being. We courageously retrieve gifts hidden in psychic depths, redeeming their wisdom for awakened futures. Through releasing mind's contractions, visionary potentials unfold. Facing internal darkness with bold vulnerability returns empowered, newly capable of actualizing our highest purposes. In Solutio, we transcend life's churning rapids, transforming chaotic events into catalysts of growth. With focused awareness, each challenge builds capacities worthy of legends. Increment by increment, destiny reveals itself anew through unrelenting conscious participation with the unfolding moment. As they say, a ship at the dock is a safe ship, but it is not why ships are built. Thus, as alchemical agents, we plunge inward, surrender encasements to dissolving waters, transcend outgrown identities. Through death and rebirth, we actualize increasing flow states of surrendered trust, catalyzing unfoldment of extraordinary life visions once unseen, yet subtly felt as destiny's sweet beckoning. The next lesson is the art of emotional release, unleashing emotional freedom through inner alchemy. Within us lies immense possibility for releasing emotional blockages when we courageously commit to inner exploration. By directing concentrated yet detached awareness inward, we can facilitate alchemical dissolving of these stubborn energies, entering the healing process of solution, accessing buried emotional pain, shadows. Through meditation, shifts physiology out of turbulent reactive states, projected states, into tranquil receptive space. Here, objective observations permits unwinding old neural patterns that kept limiting beliefs entrenched, no longer hostage to outworn self-concepts. We rewrite these core identity scripts infused with radical self-compassion. In this fertile terrain, the light of conscious presence illuminates shadows, transmuting suffering into wisdom when met with unconditional love, unconditional positive regard for self. The energies underlying emotional turmoil reveal themselves as teachers when embraced with empathy, compassion, and courage. Carl Jung talked about the shadows as being our allies in disguise. And if we wanted these allies, we actually had to go and deal with the shadows and transform them into the ally. It's an interesting setup. Their once solid effects dissolve as we reclaim authorship over our inner world. This is all about reclaiming our creative and central power of being the God of our world, reclaiming our connection with this inner God within. The energies underlying emotional turmoil reveal themselves as teachers when embraced with empathy. Rituals employing water's therapeutic properties prove deeply renewing. Hydrotherapy, breath work, cold water plunge, cold showers, aquatic body work. Have you ever done that wasu? It's so amazing. They overwrite these traumatic imprints with somatic memories of safety and liberation and release and flow. And it reminds us, it repatterns us, it redeems us into something more akin to our true loving nature, beyond the affects and conditioned responses of our survival self. We transcend limiting stories, awakening freed identity no longer confined by past conditioning. Our destiny manifests from focused presence, choosing peace, clarity, and interconnection. Through inner alchemy's craft, we reclaim our malleable, empowered inner nature, no longer rigidly defined by inherited traits, but fluid channels of potentiality, of probability, continually self-liberated by love's dissolving presence. We re-emerge, we re-immerse, we become one once again with the source of our true nature, deep, deep within, where that inner gold resides, the truth of who we are as unique and collective beings. We go to the next lesson around balancing water with the elements. It's one thing to understand the alchemy of the process. It's another to understand that what part of the process is. This is about balancing water within itself. alchemizing emotional flow states. In the silent ocean of consciousness lies immense possibility for harmonizing emotions by focusing inward with disciplined presence. Here, non-attached witnessing transmutes intense reactions through radical acceptance instead of resistance. Like steam's refinement of heated water, focused awareness reveals feelings as fuel for consciousness expansion. What we resist persists. Suppressed emotions govern thinking when left unexamined. Suppressed emotions govern thinking when left unexamined. Water governs air, but objectively observing their transient nature builds the capacity to skillfully ride all psychic waves in service of your destiny. Insights emerge as we honor feelings while detached from personal identification with the superficial passing storms. We comprehend each one as quantum messengers, aligning us with destiny's flow when unobstructed by rigid perspectives. By wholly allowing the spectrum of emotion without judgment, we transcend inner tempests. Anchored in stillness beneath churning tides, we await the next swelling current with equanimity, with balance, harmony, and stillness. From presence's sea, we choose emotional harmony and forward flow, aligned with soulful purpose instead of hostage to involuntary waves. From the sea of presence, we choose emotional harmony and forward flow aligned with soulful purpose instead. From the sea of presence, we choose emotional harmony and forward flow aligned. From the sea of presence, we choose emotional harmony and forward flow aligned with soulful purpose instead of hostage to involuntary waves. Dropping deep beneath the surface, you're no longer battled by the choppy waves, the hurricanes and tornadoes, the squall patterns. Anchored in stillness beneath churning tides, we await the next swelling current with equanimity. We become alchemists, transmuting wine into water, redirecting. We become alchemists, transmuting water into wine, redirecting passions ever higher along destiny's contours. So now we get into the three dynamics of water: the cardinal, the fixed, the mutable, as it's shown in astrology. Again, what I love most about this exploration is these three phases were something very familiar in my own model, the spiralogic model, 15 or so years before I understood astrology and the correlations. Yet it wasn't until those correlations that I began to understand something I had spent all these years very devoutly pursuing or experiencing or exploring and discovering and transforming through, spiraling through. So it is wonderful to have this correlation and this ability, this nomenclature, this language to offer, to share this. Because alchemy is alchemy, no matter how you dress it up. Water 1, embarking on a soulful journey with cardinal water. In tranquil cardinal depths, symbolized by Cancer, the moon, and the fourth house of home, of nurturing, we're summoned to a realm of emotions and intuition and soul and meaning and values, inner elixirs of purpose of selfness, a soulful journey to our core. Here, feelings flow as sacred waters, nourishing spiritual growth, while intuition channels inner truth, while emotionalities bring us into this state of presence, of power. Water holds an elemental intelligence that draws us inward to its nourishing embrace. If fire enlightens through inspiration, water returns us to wisdom within our depths. In astrology, cardinal signs represent vectors directing our being to align with their nature. It draws us in. There's some intelligence there saying, come, the siren call into the water. Cardinal water orients us to interiority, igniting passions, meaning, values, and emotional depths, often obscured in mundane everyday life. Its arrows pulls attention from outer diversions toward the mystery and magic pulsing in the silent ocean deep within each of us. This marks a call to nourish neglected aspects of our feelings and emotions, our dreamful selves, and honor the intuitive spark guiding authentic becoming. By heeding cardinal water's call inward to source, we rediscover an ancient wisdom and flow, long separated from the soul's native joy. We return. Like the prodigal child, here eternity whispers guidance, even as transient emotions wash our human experience with mystery and poetry. Soon intuition kindles once more, lighting the unprecedented path home. The cardinal call, awakening emotional spirit. Cardinal water heralds the beginning of soulful quests, awakening our innermost sensibilities. It sparks desire for deeper emotional resonance and authentic connections. This call beckons us to lead with the heart, embrace vulnerability as a gateway to spiritual development, and honor emotions as the bedrock of our soul's expedition. The depth of soulful emotions. At water's cardinal heart lies an infinite wellspring of emotional depth and sensitivity, a sanctuary where feelings transcend reactions to become spiritual experiences. This profundity fosters empathy that moves beyond physical bounds, linking souls through bonds of shared humanity. It reveals that depth of feeling is a divine gift, glimpses into life's and lessons woven into our emotional tapestry of oneness. The intuitive whisper. Intuition here is the soul's voice, a guide illuminating the winding path through murky waters. This inner wisdom, nurtured by emotional richness, serves as a compass, a director, a guide, directing us to our true selves and cosmic belonging, our destiny. It reminds us of an inner divine beacon more powerful than logic, unveiling spiritual truth, unveiling our true nature, our true path. Embracing the psychospiritual essence. To embrace the essence of cardinal water is to embark on an awakening journey of emotion and intuition, honoring their spiritual dimensions. It demands the courage to navigate torrents with an open heart. The intuitive whisper. Intuition here is the soul's voice, a guide illuminating the winding path through murky waters. This inner wisdom, nurtured by emotional richness, serves as a compass, directing us to our true selves and cosmic belonging. It's that inner sweet water. It reminds us of an inner divine beacon more powerful than logic, unveiling spiritual truth. Embracing the psychospiritual essence. To embrace the essence of cardinal water is to embark on an awakening journey of emotion in it. To embrace the essence of cardinal water is to embark on an awakening journey of emotion and intuition, honoring their spiritual dimensions. It demands a courage to navigate the torrents with an open heart. This calls us to delve into the soul's sacred waters, to forge connections with life's essence, and illuminate our spiritual route. Let's dive deeply into mystic cardinal tides together, where feelings and intuition flow as conduits of soulful insight, and a passage leading us inward to discover our intricate bonds with the living tapestry of existence. So from here we go to water 2, which is the fixed phase of water in astrology. It's a scorpionic realm of death and rebirth, of transformation. It's Scorpio, it's Pluto. Transformation. Exploring transformation and rebirth's mysteries. And the archetypal sphere of water 2, represented by Scorpio, the 8th house. In the archetypal sphere of water 2, represented by Scorpio, the 8th house, and Pluto, we're summoned to the unconscious realms of shadow work and the psyche's endless cycle of death and renewal. This journey reaches beyond astrological comprehension into a living mythopoetic odyssey centered on humanity's core essential. This journey reaches beyond astrological comprehension into a living mythopoetic odyssey centered on humanity's core existential riddles. The archetypal descent. Scorpio embodies the shamanic archetype's essence, the healer and magician capable of penetrating the veil between worlds. This signifies a call to release outworn aspects of self and confront mortality's mystery as part of more expansive identity realignment. By consciously descending into Plutonian territory, we draw closer to the collective unconscious, restorative, and destructive pantheon. The Equator's Cauldron. Here we encounter archetypes governing palingenetic transformation and the psyche's latent powers of regeneration. This energy compels us to direct encounter with our depths, to dredge accumulated psychic detritus and reunite lost fragments of selfhood through potent recollection of our wholeness. Outmoded aspects dissolve in this catalytic vessel, so more profound beings can emerge renewed. Intuition's lamp. In shadowy intervals between death and rebirth, intuition for the irrational feminine principle counterbalancing sterile reason blossoms as our illuminating guide into the unconscious by following its symbolic associative wisdom over logic's linear paths. Fresh trajectories unfold, and we gain tools to navigate uncertainty's abyss with newly forged faith. To fully embrace this passage's initiatory power is to acknowledge humanity's shared story, is written in the eternal language of living myth and metaphor. All that we experience echoes, patterns, linking us to ancestors and descendants alike across infinite years. In these symbols, our continuity persists. Alchemical descent for psychological transmutation. In elemental alchemy, the domain of water too signifies a profound inner journey, one facilitating psychic dissolution and reconstitution for personal evolution. Here, the alchemist, adept, consciously enters liminal space where ego dismantling and shadow integration produce the philosopher's stone of transformed identity. Through calculated psychic immersion, the alchemists subjects themselves to emotional intensity and vulnerabilities naked, allowing personal constructs to deliquesce. From this radical self-honesty, newfound perspectives emerge through death of outmoded aspects. Rigid shadows transfigure when flooded with compassion's dissolving warmth. The alchemist surrenders, allowing their refined essence to attract reconstructed personas aligned with soul truth, previously obscured, hidden. Death's putrefaction thus produces new incarnations. Having withstood the chaotic Negretto stage, the plemental gold, incorruptible and resilient, crystallizes. What survives this liquefaction quickens genius and individuation, latent within the unconscious. Fermenting turmoil distills facets of selfhood resonant with wholeness. Masterful captains of the soul's imperishable vessel, traversing torment's waves. Thus, the art of elemental psychology depends on fluidity between order. Transmutation unfolds destinies, unlocking once latent capacities now harnessed gracefully to navigate life's deepest water with poise. True mastery knows itself indestructible. So from here we move beyond the gauntlet of death and rebirth and all of this wonderful transmutating from the Negretto, from out of from in the fire realm the phoenix rises out. This is the inner gold arising out of that tumultuous letting go and holding space for. Such a courageous exercise and forgiving and releasing and letting go and service to something greater, something deeper, something more true, but yet even more mysterious than anything else. Such a leap of faith. So water 3 is the result of this, the going from the vector of diving deep into the water to the circling around and cycling through this death rebirth pattern of drowning and reawakening to the spiraling movement, this mutable phase of spiraling into inner elixirs and deep wisdom and our true inner gold. In the quest to explore the profound expanse of our inner selves, we embark upon a transformative journey that transcends the physical to touch the very essence of our being. This voyage into the waters of the unconscious represents not merely a passage, but a profound awakening to the limitless potential that resides within us. The portal to inner transformation. Imagine for a moment that within you lies an ocean, vast and deep. Its waters holding the secrets to your true self, your untapped potential, and the power of your consciousness. This is the journey of Water 3, a pathway that leads us beyond the surface of our daily existence into the depths of our subconscious mind. It is here in this sacred space that we discover the power to create, to heal, and to transform our reality from the inside out. The alchemy of self-discovery. The process of delving into our subconscious is akin to the alchemist's quest to turn lead into gold. It is a journey of purification, where we learn to dissolve the barriers of fear, doubt, and limitation, allowing our true essence to emerge with clarity and strength. As we venture deeper, we encountered the fluidity of our emotions, the richness of our dreams, and the whispering of our intuition, all guiding us toward a greater understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe. The science of change. Drawing upon the principles of neuroscience and quantum physics, we understand that our thoughts and emotions have the power to shape our reality. This journey through the water realm teaches us that by changing our internal states, our thoughts, our feelings, our senses, our beliefs, we can alter our external environment, our external reality. It is through this inner transformation that we unlock the ability to manifest new possibilities, to experience greater joy and connection with a sense of oneness with all of existence. Embodying the flow of transformation. To embrace the journey of Water 3 is to commit to a life of continuous growth and evolution. It invites us to practice mindfulness, to cultivate a heart-centered awareness, and to align our intentions with our actions. By embodying the principles of change, renewal, and connectivity, we become architects of our destiny, capable of navigating life's challenges with grace, and empowered by a profound sense of purpose, of knowing. As we navigate the mystical waters of our subconscious, we awaken to the realization that we are not mere observers of our reality, but active participants in its creation. This awakening to the dream within a dream, this journey of self-discovery and transformation opens a door to unlimited potential, guiding us toward a future where we live fully in the present, connected to the depth of our being and the expansive universe around us. In the spirit of exploration and growth, let's dive into the depths of our soul, embrace the transformative power of our consciousness, and emerge renewed, inspired, and aligned with the highest expression of our true selves. This is a mutable phase of the spiraling phase of Water 3, the fruition of our deep dive and self-sacrifice and release into this more than space. That brings us to the next lesson, navigating life's waters, the essence of emotional intelligence. Imagine navigating a vast open sea where the waters represent our emotions that are sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. And at the heart of this journey lies a compass of emotional intelligence, our EQ, guiding us to understand, empathize, and connect deeply with ourselves and others. Emotional intelligence isn't just a skill. It's the essence of feeling seen, understood, and at home in the world and within ourselves. The concept of emotional intelligence. Definition. Emotional intelligence is the art of tuning into our own and others' emotions. It encompasses self-awareness, self-regulation, motivation, empathy, and social skills, forming the bedrock of meaningful interactions and personal growth. Its importance. EQ is the cornerstone of thriving relationships, personal fulfillment, and professional success. It allows us to navigate life's challenges with grace and resilience, fostering a world where understanding and compassion are paramount. The four pillars of emotional intelligence we'll focus on are self-awareness and self-regulation. 1. Recognizing and understanding our emotions is the first step. Managing them wisely enables us to choose responses instead of reactions, steering our life's ship with intention and wisdom. 2 is empathy, the heart of connection. By feeling into the emotions of those around us, we weave threads of understanding and compassion, transforming relationships into deep, meaningful connections. 3 is social skills, navigating relationships. Emotional intelligence shines a light on the path of communication, helping us express ourselves clearly and connect authentically, building strong, lasting bonds with others. And 4, bringing us back around to the fire of water, motivation and personal drive. Fuel your journey with the knowledge of your emotional landscape, driving towards personal aspirations with a heart full of passion and a mind clear and above the obstacles. The superpowers of emotional intelligence: empathy, self-awareness, self-regulation, and social skills. Empathy. Diving deep into the ocean of connection, touching the heart of those around us. Self-awareness. Charting a course with confidence, understanding the depths of your emotions. The third superpower of EQ is self-regulation, being able to sail smoothly through emotional storms, finding peace and balance. And our final, at least our fourth superpower of EQ is social skills, being able to build bridges of understanding, crafting relationships that withstand the test of time. Overcoming challenges with emotional intelligence. Life's waters can sometimes be turbulent. Emotional detachment, misunderstandings, and stress may cloud our journey. Yet, emotional intelligence offers strategies to navigate through these storms, guiding us towards calm waters with understanding and resilience. Here are some practical ways to enhance your emotional intelligence. Through mindfulness practices, through emotional literacy, through empathic listening, and feedback loops. Let's start with mindfulness practices. Anchor yourself in this present moment, attuning to your emotional tides. Through mindfulness and meditation, this still place of witnessing, of presence. Through emotional literacy, chart the vastness of your emotions, learning to name and navigate them with precision, to get to know these shifting parts of your nature, these archetypal emotional states. Through empathic listening, tune into the stories of others, enhancing empathy and deepening connections. We learn so much about ourselves by truly dropping into our heart and receiving empathetically other. It's very different from sympathy. I feel sorry for you. Empathy says, I feel you. I'm there with you. I'm experiencing it as you in a way that I can. There is, just like imaginal cells, there are these cells that connect us, these empathy cells, right? This circuit of connection, like birds murmurating and fish schooling. This interconnectedness, this I-thou connection. And finally, feedback loops as a practical way to enhance your EQ. Embrace the winds of feedback. I would say embrace the flow and the currents of feedback, using them to sail towards greater emotional intelligence. By picking up on these interactions, these emotional engagements, you can find that sweet water through that path, or you can tack towards a certain destination, no matter what the winds. So the conclusion: emotional intelligence is the beacon that lights our way through the complexities of human emotions and relationships. It invites us to a journey of self-discovery, where every emotion is a wave leading us closer to the shores of understanding and belonging. And the call to action here: share your voyage through the seas of EQ, through emotional intelligence. Have you discovered new depths within yourself in this process? Have empathy and understanding transformed your relationships, the past, the present? Join the conversation below, where it says Write Post, and sign up for one of our EQ workshops, or embark on an emotional intelligence quiz or take an emotional intelligence quiz to chart your course towards emotional mastery. And our survey tool, you can see in these 3 areas, at very least, where you are. So that would be really nice to look into. These are ways of navigating life's water through just tapping into this nodal point of what is your EQ, where is it, where can you develop it further. In the next lessons, we will go through the inner guide meditation, which is, in all honesty, the sort of pretext and the underlying foundation and the goal, my ideal for all of this work. Every bit of this is a setup, in a sense, to be able to get you to the place where you can access these inner guides is what I'm here to do, at least from my guides' perspectives. So, the first thing is how to get you there. And in this guided journey, it's a beginning. It's the inner guide meditation. I was taught this when I lived in Los Angeles by Ed Steinbrecher, who wrote this amazing book called The Inner Guide Meditation. Now, Ed Steinbrecher was this probably 6'7", 6'8", alien-like character, bald as can be. He had massive fingers with all these stones on them, beautiful presence of this masterful being. He was a master Jungian analyst and master astrologer and tarot expert, none of which I knew anything about at the time. I thought it was extraordinary and bewildering and alien, just like him. And he read my chart for the first time. I had an astrological chart, no relationship to that again. And I was overwhelmed with this sense of synchronicity, this sense of fascination and astonishment at the accuracy in which he read my past and present and predicted, I assumed, my future. But most of the astrology was simply a workbook. My chart was just considered a way to see the journey inwards. Because entering is one thing. Knowing what to do when you're there is a different thing. Going on a trek in the Himalayas is one thing. Knowing how to journey is another thing. There's preparation, there's education, there is a need to prepare yourself physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, all of it. And it's no different in the inner guide work. So in this work, the big buildup for me is this elemental chart, this spiralogic process, this looking at ourselves from these 12 crystalline facets of reality, of personal development and experience, is to come back to this space of knowing, the capacity to navigate the spiraling, chaotic unfolding of reality and its bewildering nowness. This knowing that what's really going on is not only more than we think, but more than we can think. Yet, with a nice navigator, with a nice map, we can move our way through in a very purposeful and self-guided way, at least in a way that can help us find our own sweet water through the journey. So the inner guide meditation is the connecting with these inner archetypal forces. It's a passage into the inner waters of that source of this inner universe that is projecting on to our world as the outer world, the outer reality. Our inner fool is showing up in all these different guises as all these different projected people and forms. And so with the lover, so with the magician, the queen, the fool, all of them. They resonate with us in the outer world as a reflection, as a sacred mirror to something internal. Yes, there is an objective world. And yes, there is an objective experience of, and there's a subjective experiencing of this objective world. And this beautiful movement between the subjective and objective, between matter and nature, between the crystalline and the informed. There is this interplay of fate and free will, of engagement. In the inner realms, when we meet with the guides, they are the ones, they are your Virgil or Beatrice that will help you navigate these inner realms. And it's beautiful. These inner realms are the outer realms, so eventually you will notice that by having your guides, you can always tap into them, so you can be like a child in the world. And you can drop in this state of right brain, nuance, novelty seeking, unknowing, because you have wise counsel. Because you have wise counsel. We're going to meet your wise counsel in this journey. The next lesson is the inner smile meditation. I love it. I had hair then. In this meditation, this is an ancient Taoist technique. And why is it relevant for the inner world, the water realm? Because it's about mastering emotions using breath, imagination, and visualization, and the mapping of the ancient Taoist, the Chinese medicine process of transforming our state of being and our organs into a harmonious state of being. And each of the organs, we'll go through all of them, they're known as post-spirits, as animal spirits, ancient and wise, beyond our years, right? Infinite. And these spirits are like diplomats that are helping us navigate this VR experience. They inform us, they empower us, and they direct us in ways that are either or both bewildering and useful or upsetting and confounding. Yet they're there. So there are ways of dealing with these post-spirits. If the lungs, for instance, in their heightened state of beauty, their metallic state of is like the white tiger, they say. It's full of courage and compassion. Yet if there's dark chi in the lungs, if they're feeling congested, or if they're off, then you experience this offness as depression, as grief, as sadness. Now in Chinese medicine, they can work with that to release that dark chi out through using acupuncture needles, moxibustion, a lot of different ways. There's also Chinese herbs that can help remove the congestion out of the lungs to return the lungs back into the courageous state, the state of clear white light. And you can feel the depression, the sadness, the grief dissipate. Now, as somebody that's heavily, deeply into the imaginal, I love the way the Qigong master taught me to do it. The Grandmaster Mantak Chia, it's about visualization to transform. So in this case, with the lungs, we would breathe in white light into our lungs from the universe, through the third eye, through the nose, smile it in and see those lungs. It's a smiling relationship, right? We're saying to the lungs, I'm here, I love you, I get you, I forgive you, Ho'oponopono, right? Breathe it in, the white light, and say, returning your source light back to you, and I'm reminding you, I'm rebooting you, I'm reconnecting you, re-immersing you with the light of the heavens, the white metallic light, breathing it in, swirling it in the lungs, through the nose, through the third eye, and then breathing out through the mouth, the releasing all the toxins, the dark chi, all the depression, the sadness, the grief. No need to contextualize it and project it onto the world. This is returning to the source and releasing it. Simple, lovely, powerful. And you can tell if it works. I put up a little meter. Where's my sadness meter right now? And at the end of it, I can see it go all the way down to 0. And I'll continue breathing in white light and breathe out the darkness until it goes. And some may say, you're fooling yourself. Of course I am. Some will say, you're making it up. Of course I am. I've always been, and so have you. Now it's a matter of, what do you want to imagine? What do you want to make believe? What do you want to create? What do you want to fool yourself into believing, to feeling? That frequency of white light and metallic energy, that sound of these frequencies, like cymatic expressions, are designed to reconnect, to refigure, to reboot, to redeem our lungs, and reconnecting back with their source nature on the highest order, to recalibrate, like with our computers, to defrag. And now they're running fine again. You have ever seen your computer, remember back in the day, especially when your computer was all gunked up, fragged out, and it was churning and chugging and barely functioning. And you defrag it, and all of a sudden everything's flowing again. Very much like this. So I'm excited to teach you the inner smile meditation and the way that I learned it, an approximation, of course. And I welcome you. I think I left Mantak Chia's. There's so many visualizations around inner guide. There's so many ways of doing inner smile meditation. It's ancient. Thousands of years around. So there's all these different iterations of how to understand it, how to do it. Damo Mitchell has a very different form, but a very powerful kind of augmenting way. I love Mantak Chia. I really resonate with his work, and he's very much a little bit of a heretical character that, just like a good Taoist, takes in all these techniques and employs them into the service of the inner alchemy. So that's the Inner Smile meditation. I hope you enjoy it. I would love feedback. There is underneath each of these different lessons a place where you can add a discussion. And we're just starting this particular courseware, so I'd love for you to add to this. Ask any questions, leave any comment, and just to open a dialogue. And beyond that, we'll go into discussion areas, and I'm going to add to this a whole lot of water quotes just to give you some frame of reference. I think quotes and poetry, and even though the words are so much, I think that they are a wonderful way for us to begin to excite ourselves, to inspire ourselves, to give passion to this journey we're on. In this process, the whole goal for me completely is to invite you to just take some time to witness, to just be present with this side of your nature, this element of experience. All of this that I'm offering is artifactual, it's informational, it's hopefully inspirational. Yet there's nothing compared to the experience, right? If there's nothing else for this next week that you get from this, it would be the awareness. You know you have this emotional side. How are you in relationship with it? How are you with witnessing and listening and learning from it? Maybe be curious about that, and maybe have an ideal of having this depth where that subconscious deepens into the unconscious. And because that's where all of life flows from. The right brain as a master feeds the left brain as the emissary. The more depth, the more to process and organize and to talk about. So water invites you to go deep and plumb the riches of the inner depth of your being. Thank you guys for being here. I hope this is helpful. I look forward to your feedback. Anything, any part of this, you as a part of this pilot group are chosen because I respect you, I love you, and I hope to have your feedback as we go through this, of ways, of experiences, of knowing, of supporting, of augmenting, enriching this experience. Thank you guys. I hope you have a tremendous thank you, and I hope you have a beautiful day, a beautiful week, a beautiful month, and a beautiful life.